Good evening and welcome back to Ask 9 here in our streaming studio. I'm Becky Phelps, joined today by Rebekah Vaughn.
Hello. Have I ever told you how much I love the intro music?
You know what?
I do a little dance every time it pops up.
Catchy. And we went through a couple of phases with the intro and we weren't quite sure what direction we were going. But I like the typewriter sounds especially.
I do too. I don't know.
There's something a little nostalgic about it. It's a
dance
fun
to
way
it
to
a
get the show started.
Yeah, it definitely
You
is.
were dancing a little bit.
I was.
Sometimes Jim dances. Don't tell him I said that.
I was going to say, I'd like to see
that's
that.
our secret. But we are bringing you on today to talk about a pretty big story we've been following today and kind of for a year now.
The last year, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move cameras here. This is very interesting.
Yes.
A new audit from Rob Sand, our state auditor, says that Tama County found $1 million discrepancy about a year ago.
Yes.
Walk us through that, because you did this original story
Yes.
a year ago.
Got my papers. So yeah, roughly a year ago, and it was February of 2025. This board of supervisors, they came in to do their yearly budget. And it seems like a couple new board members had joined the board. So they were coming into this new budget year, and they were looking through their budget, and they realized that they were $950,000 they were going to be over in their fiscal year budget.
And that's not a small matter here.
That's a lot of money.
That's significant.
So that was one of the things that kind of came up, that the supervisors were like, hey, something needs to be investigated.
Yeah, okay.
It was that, and it was people in the community, taxpayers, saying, hey, funds are being misused, something needs to be investigated.
Okay, so this new board kind of inherited some concerns from the community.
Yes, I would say that's fair
Okay.
to say. They inherited kind of this almost $1 million deficit in their budget. They were going to be over by $1 million.
That's
a lot of money.
I would be pretty alarmed if I started my new position and we were looking at that.
Yeah.
So you today talked with Mark
Dolan.
Dolan, who's the chairman of the Tama County Board of Supervisors, because they found out this. They
Correct.
asked for an audit, correct?
Yes.
They went to the
Yes.
state and
So
asked for an audit?
After these things kind of came up, they're like, we got to get some other people involved and see what's really going on. So that's where Rob Sand kind of came in, and this big audit. They had a smaller one first to see what was going on, and that's where they discovered this HR employee using a county credit card for something that it should not have been used for, supposedly. So after that first audit went through, they're like, we need to elevate this to the state level. So I sat down with the chairperson for the Tama County Board of Supervisors today, who said it's been a long year because they asked for this audit. It has been exactly 365 days since that HR employee was terminated from
Wow.
that position. Like this, that was a year ago today, February 3rd of 2025.
You gotta wonder if they planned that. We didn't ask Rob Sand that question, but
No,
we should have.
But, so it's been 365 days since everything kind of got rolling. And it's a big weight off of their chest that, okay, we found out what happened. Now it's time to continue the fixing process of what happened.
We're going to listen to a clip from Rebekah's interview with the chairman of the Tama County Board of Supervisors about that initial process. Take a listen.
We had a lot of reports from different residents and concerned taxpayers that there were misappropriated funds. And so we went into the budget not knowing exactly what to expect. At the midterm of the budget hearings, we found out that there was appropriated, we were calculated to go in the hole by almost $1 million. And so at that time, we contacted the, PJ Griffin Associates to do an HR audit. And Paul came and went through and started talking to county employees. And, and raised some concerns. There were a lot of concerns that were brought up by taxpayers and by employees that were thoroughly researched, and it gave us pause. And during that time, we determined a year ago today to terminate the contract with or terminate the employment of the human resources director after some of these allegations that had come up needed to be reported. As we promised for transparency and all of those kind of things, we brought in the state auditor's office, who done an initial interview with us, and then they went on and to do a very thorough investigation, which was released today.
So let's break down some of what we learned from that report.
Sure.
The auditor's office found $251,200 in questionable spending, specifically in the Tama County Human Resources Department. So a lot of this is focused around former HR manager Tammy Wise, who was the employee, right, that you mentioned?
Correct, yes.
Yes, who was terminated a year ago today. So that $251,000 is kind of the crux of this report and what they were seeing. And I found this so interesting going through, because the report lists some of the red flags, some of the things that maybe a county credit card shouldn't have been being used for.
Right.
And they're not all of them are little or subtle,
Yes.
per se. One of them was an invoice for a generator purchased for Tammy Wise's home.
Right. And I think if my memory is correct, I have my article printed out that we did last year, and this might add up to one of the items that tipped them off. So during my research last year and the article I was doing, at the time that I interviewed the supervisors, this month last year, they weren't able to tell us a whole lot.
Sure.
Because
they're under investigation.
Exactly. So they were able to tell me that yes, Wise had been let go from her position, and they said that she had been found to have saved $500 or more on an item after not paying sales tax. So today we learned that
That's
item
got to be it.
was this, and again, I'm connecting the pieces
Yeah.
here, because we learned that the item, an $8,700 generator, she saved $613 in sales tax on that item. So it kind of adds up to the more than $500 saved that we reported on at this time last year. And these just are the nitty-gritty details
Yes. Okay, so let's break down a little more of these numbers. Wise was responsible for handling ARPA funds. That's the American Rescue Plan Act, federal funds, and $81,000 were found. Questionable disbursements using those federal ARPA funds, so that was a big flag. $1,000, a little more than $1,000 in improper disbursements, personal purchases using the county card, and then $168,710 in unsupported disbursements, which is really like one of the big things from this report, because what that means is there weren't enough records to figure out where that money went.
Right.
$168,000. They didn't have the records of the oversight to know what that was doing. Like they don't know where that money went.
And that was a big part of, Rob Sand's press conference that he had today was there just wasn't a lot of oversight.
Yes.
So not a lot of record keeping in that sense, where they couldn't find the proof of where the money had gone.
Really quick, because we're going to get back to that.
Okay.
But of the improper purchases, that included, the auditor's office says, a light fixture, fishing gear, groceries, artificial flower, and a personal prescription purchase, all using the county's credit card. So we got a lot of details in this report.
Yeah.
But that lack of oversight, really unfortunate but not uncommon.
Correct.
Across Iowa.
And in those smaller communities. I know he was mentioning, specifically those rural areas where people know people, I trust you. This is what Rob Sand had this is a broken down version of
Yeah.
it. But in a small rural community, I know you, Becky. I trust you. I trust that you wouldn't do anything wrong.
Here's the county credit card.
So, and that type of thing does happen.
Absolutely it does, because those are your neighbors. Like, you really do know everyone
Yeah.
so well.
Of course.
Some of those purchases, they really have no idea if it was a personal purchase or not. Almost $9,000 in purchases from Amazon, Menards, Walmart, Hobby Lobby. They have, the receipts perhaps, but they can't prove, because of a lack of,
Yeah.
evidence. They can't figure out if it was personal or not. So there's a whole lot. Oh, this was fascinating. This is really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
There were checks. So we're talking about Tammy Wise. Her daughter also worked for the county as the county treasurer. And the auditor's office found checks between Wise and her daughter under a coordinator account that was no longer used in county duties, and there was more than $14,000 in that account. Fascinating. There were late fees with some monthly statements, a lot of just, the auditor's office said, poor financial documentation.
And that, I think, is one of the big kickers. I mean, yeah, misusing county funds is the biggest kicker, but the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of record keeping in that sense.
Yeah.
And they have since, and we'll get into it, they have since updated policies to make sure this type of thing doesn't happen again. But I think that is really where we see that sense of, we don't know what happened to the money, because there wasn't that record keeping.
Yeah. Rob Sand's office, as a part of these investigations, does give some advice to the county as far as what they may want to do going forward, put some better guardrails, maybe is the word, in place?
Yeah, essentially. Say this is the report says this is what happened. Here are the suggestions to prevent it from happening again.
Okay, we're going to hear again from our chair of the Tama County Board of Supervisors, Mark Doland, about some of those suggestions and what they learned.
Well, the changes that have been suggested or recommended in the auditor's report have already been made. There's almost probably 8 or 9 different ones. We've enacted new policies. We changed our ordinances. We updated our employee handbook to make sure that there's a lot more oversight, a lot more controls in place. There are processes that are taking place right now with the county auditor now, and us, as far as the board, we're a lot more, I guess, not hands-on, but there's a lot more oversight and a lot more scrutiny for all of these expenses. The biggest concern I saw through most of the report is that there was a lot of expenditures that went through our county budget in, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars that don't have any accountability. There might be an expenditure that you might see go through the claims, but there's no detailed or itemized receipt to find out what all of this money went to.
Tell me a little bit about how this sets the county up for success in the future with these changes.
Yeah, I think that just having good transparency and good oversight with your elected leaders, I think that having 5 of us on this board really enables us to do a lot more work. That was part of, in January of last year, we went to a 5-member board, and it allows a lot more oversight. We delegate out the responsibilities, and I don't know that with 3 it was all that hard, but it just seems like there wasn't any accountability. But with 5 of us on the board, I think that it really helps for us to be able to delegate out the responsibilities and really dig into all the departments. I think all of us have our different skill sets, and we're liaisons with all of the different departments. It allows us to delegate or to divide up all of the different department heads and be able to have working relationships with all of those department heads. The biggest thing that we would want for people to know is that you elected a good board that has oversight, good transparency, and your tax dollars are being watched very, very carefully, and we're making sure that we're spending those only for services that are being utilized by the taxpayer.
So this 5-person board is pretty new for Tama County, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the majority of them were brought in winter of last year.
Okay.
So
they have hit the ground running.
They have, because they came in with, such a mess in the budget. Last year they were taking not taking funds. It's my elbow, correct?
That's
Sorry.
okay.
But they were allocating funds from certain areas that had extra and bringing it back
to balance out that $1 million?
to try.
Where do you, like in a smaller county, where do you pull that money from?
I will tell you.
Okay, okay.
Because I
our
reported on
follow-up
it.
research really coming through for us.
So last year they had to pull it from their E911.
E911?
So it's their emergency
Oh,
emergency
okay.
services telecommunications.
Ooh.
They had a little bit of extra money in their budget, so they would still have their yearly operating budget,
Okay.
but they had a little bit more, and that they had been allocated. And the board said, "Hey, you're going to have positive funds at the end of the fiscal year. Could we, have some of it?"
Some people have to make sacrifices, maybe like, I'm making this up, but maybe you don't get the new chairs you were going to get in a department.
Yeah,
And
they said the money that was I won't say reallocated, but transferred
Reassigned.
back. Yeah, the money that would then be used to pay county employees, including the sheriff, people working in public health. I mean, necessary services, because they were so far in the hole that they had to do something.
Yeah.
Just to keep operating.
Because you do. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, and they did end up making about 13. They cut about 13% of their expenditures, just to kind of try to help themselves out a little bit.
So have they leveled out?
They said they'll know more when the fiscal year ends,
Okay, so in July?
July 1st.
July 1st. Okay.
So I'm sure we will be having more follow-ups just to see where we stand, because now we know what happened. We've got safeguards in place so it doesn't happen again. We've cut some of the budget to hopefully dig us out of the hole, balance us out a little bit, but we're really not going to know until the fiscal year is over how much they're still in the red, if any.
Another big question, obviously, that a lot of people have, we've seen it on Facebook posts as we've been reporting the story today. What happens to Tammy Wise?
As of right now, we don't know. It's possible that there will be criminal charges, but it's not a guarantee.
The auditor's office does offer those recommendations to the county. They do not make any recommendations for criminal charges. Rob Sand talked about that in his presser today. If you joined us live for that. But that's kind of their policy.
Yeah.
They don't make those recommendations. And I believe, I've got some of your notes here, it's out of the county's hands right now.
Correct. They are kind of in those early phases. They've sent it to some outside resources.
DCI.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
state resources.
Yeah. Just because, small town, a lot of people know a lot of things. A lot of people know a lot of people. They don't want any conflict of interest in that situation.
You'll make it a clean investigation.
Exactly. So right now, they don't know. It is out of their hands. It's hard when I talked to Mark, he said it would be hard to say until those types of things wrap up. But it's possible, but we don't know yet.
And he told you that the county is facing a lawsuit?
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I found
Tammy,
that interesting.
Tammy Wise did file a lawsuit against the 5 supervisors, and that is set to go to trial in August.
Okay.
So another thing that I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on, it was a wrongful termination lawsuit.
Okay, so we will follow up, with I'm sure as documents get filed, we'll get some more information about that lawsuit as well. And if there are any criminal charges forthcoming, we will, of course, keep everyone posted about that.
Of course.
Thank you
Push
so much,
alerts.
Rebekah.
Push alerts on the app.
Yes.
You'll get them.
Thank you for joining us, Rebekah. This is a bigger one, and there's like a lot of numbers and things to get through. So I really appreciate you, giving us your time and your insight.
I appreciate you letting me behind the desk. You put up with me quite a bit.
We love to have you here.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for joining us on tonight's Ask 9. As always, if there are any stories you'd like a better in-depth look at, or something you'd like us to look into, a question you might have, send us a message on Facebook or shoot us an email. Have a great evening.